Hello everyone, my name is Pukar Dhital. I'm an English instructor and today we are going to cover the chapter Famous Monuments for Grade 7. So let's begin the class.
So we're going to begin a chapter Famous Monuments. So before we begin, what do you think is a monument? Have you ever wondered what is monument? So let's have the dictionary meaning of monument first of all. So monument means a structure built for symbolic reasons or as a memorial. So let's break down this definition here. So monument is any structure, alright? It's a man-made structure, by the way. Having said that, it's a man-made structure built for symbolic reasons. So every nation in one way or the other has a monument, alright? Every nation will certainly have a monument, and those monuments always represents something. So now, having said that, do you recall any of the monuments? How about monuments in India? Have you heard about Taj Mahal? That's a famous monument. See, it's symbolic reasons. It's often said that Taj Mahal is the symbol of love, alright? So, and it's there always as a memorial, meaning these monuments along with it carries a history, alright? And of course, any man-made structure will remain for a pretty long time. So it will always have its legacy with it. So it's a man-made structure which has a certain meaning to it, certain symbolic representation to it, and it always has a legacy with it, a story with it, alright? And it will stand in any nation as a nation's pride. Now, having learned about monument, let's move forward, alright? Where we will be covering the chapter. There you go. It's where we're covering the chapter Dharara. Alright, so why is Dharara a famous monument of our country? And before we move further about Dharara, remember that this chapter was written when we had this amazing structure in our country, in Sundara. But now we do not have this structure anymore. The building has already collapsed, alright? The building has collapsed, and now what we have is the debris left there, alright? So what we now have is the debris of the building, that is Dharara, of the monument, let's say. And it collapsed, as you know, I'm sure, it collapsed because of the earthquake, alright, which struck Nepal on April 25, 2015, alright, which was on Saturday, alright, an earthquake with a magnitude of 7.8 Richter scale, alright, with a magnitude of 7.8 Richter scale hit our country that gloomy day, alright, and it turned Dharara into a debris. Dharara collapsed because of this earthquake. So this is the information that you should be knowing before we continue this chapter. So before we begin, let's first read the passage here on Dharara, alright. Now, this we'll do later. Read the first two paragraphs of the following passage and extract 3 facts about Dharara. So our task is to figure out the first two paragraphs first. Now, having said that, this is our first paragraph, alright, and our second paragraph is here. Here we go, right? This is our second paragraph. So from these two paragraphs, we're supposed to extract 3 facts about Dharara, which we'll do later. But first, let's read. In the center of Kathmandu city lies a big open ground called Tudikil. On the southwest tip of Tudikil, there is a big tower. It is called Bhimsen Stamba or Bhimsen Tower, but it is known as Dharara more commonly. Bhimsen Tower was built in 1832 AD when Bhimsen Thapa was the Prime Minister of Nepal. It is 50.2 meters high. It has 9 stories. There's a balcony on the 8th store. You can get a beautiful view of the city from there. There is a staircase with 113 steps leading to the top of the tower. Bhimsen Thapa was the first Prime Minister of Nepal. He ordered a tower to be built near his palace. The tower was 11 stories high. This tower used to be near the present Dharara, but we don't see it nowadays. It was destroyed in the earthquake of 1934 AD. Lalit Tripura Sundari was the queen at that time. She also wanted a tower to be built. She ordered Bhimsen Thapa to build a tower for her too. So Bhimsen Thapa ordered another tower to be built for her in 1832 AD. This tower had 9 stories. It is the tower that we see today. Both the towers were destroyed by the great earthquake in 1934 AD. Prime Minister Juddha Samsai Rana ordered a tower to be rebuilt. That is the reason why we see only one tower now. No one really knows why these towers were built. Nepal had just fought a war with the British. At that time, the country did not have much money to spend on towers. Maybe Bhimsen Thapa wanted to show the might of Nepali army to the British. Maybe he wanted to show his power to the people. In Bhimsen Thapa's time, it was used as a lookout tower. Soldiers would sound bugles from its balcony. Whatever the reason, Dharara is one of the most well-known buildings of Nepal. So, hey, let me add Y here, right? This is story. This is R, by the way. Okay, so now having read these passages, we've come to know about Dharara. Okay, now of course you must bear in mind that we now no longer have this historical monument in our country. Alright, it collapsed during the earthquake, as I mentioned you earlier, and of course that's why it lacks the information. Alright, that we now this nation does not have this tower anymore because it collapsed during the earthquake on April 25, 2015. That's why this sentence here is written in simple present, see, meaning it does exist. In the center of Kathmandu city lies a big open ground called Tudikil. Alright, on the southwest tip of the Tudikil there's a big tower. It is called, now see, there is a big tower. Now you can however assume it to be there was a big tower. This tower, we don't have this tower anymore, sadly. Alright, so now let's move further. Now the first part of the question, let's work on the first part of the question. Read the first two paragraphs. This means here's the first paragraph and here's the second paragraph. So reading these two paragraphs, let's figure out 3 facts about Dharara. Okay, now let's work on the first question. Alright, so remember the question, extract 3 facts about Dharara. Alright, so let's write down the answer here. The 3 facts about Dharara are, here we go. Dharara is also called Bhimsen Stamba or Bhimsen Tower. First fact. Let's move on to the second fact. Dharara is 50.22 meters high. And finally, the last one. Dharara was built in 1832 AD when Bhimsen Thapa was the Prime Minister of Nepal. So you see, here we go with 3 facts. And remember one thing, when you write answers like this, never begin your answer saying it is also called Bhimsen Stamba, alright? So you'll always have to mention what that it is called. Okay, so always be very specific with the answer. You can however use it if you are to begin the second sentence here. Dharara is also called Bhimsen Stamba or Bhimsen Tower. Now if you write this in your second sentence, it is 50.2 meters high. Alright, so but you cannot begin your answer with it. And secondly, you might be wondering, okay, Dharara is no more, so why I'm here continue with the simple present form. Alright, it is because I'm going as per the passage. Okay, so even if you write here Dharara was, you are technically correct. Okay, because we don't have this building anymore here in Kathmandu, okay, or in our country. So let's move forward further. So let's work on these true or false. Right, here are 5 statements. So A, B, C, and D and E. Alright, so out of these 5 statements, let's figure out the true and false, or true or false. Okay, so maybe you can take time, maybe you can take 5 minutes time to just write down whether these statements given here are true or false. Okay, you can utilize your classroom timing for this. I don't think you need to discuss with your friends to write down this answer. These are very simple statements, and I'm sure you can provide true or false to these statements. Here are 5 statements that follow. So we have 1, 2, 3, A, B, C. See, read the passage and write whether these statements are true or false. Dharara is the popular name of Bhimsen Stamba. Number B, you can enjoy the beautiful scenery of the Kathmandu Valley from Dharara. Number C, there are 2 towers. One made by the Queen Lalit Tripura Sundari and the other by the Prime Minister Bhimsen Thapa. 2 towers were destroyed by an earthquake many years ago. And number E, everyone knows the reason for building these towers. So let's write down the answer. Dharara is the popular name of Bhimsen Stamba. Yes, this is true. You can enjoy the beautiful scenery of the Kathmandu Valley from Dharara. Well, that is also true. Remember, we don't have this monument any longer, but we are writing this answer on the basis of the passage. Alright, we're writing these statements, or we're writing this true or false on what we read in the passage. Now, there are 2 towers, one made by the Queen Lalit Tripura Sundari and the other by the Prime Minister Bhimsen Thapa. Is this a true? No, it's false. Because according to the passage, we just have one tower left, and it says there are. Do we have two towers? No, we don't have two towers. We just have one tower, or we had one tower, but as per the passage, we have one tower, which was built by Bhimsen Thapa. Okay? And by the way, Queen Lalit Tripura ordered Bhimsen Thapa to build a tower. Right? So technically, both were built by Bhimsen Thapa. One, Prime Minister Bhimsen Thapa himself took the initiation, while to the other, the order was given by Lalit Tripura Sundari. Two towers were destroyed by an earthquake many years ago. Yes, that is also true. And finally, everyone knows the reason for building these towers, which is false. Actually, the last paragraph says, no one really knows why these towers were built. So see, we just have assumptions that, and the assumption is that maybe Nepal wanted to show the might of Nepali army to the Britishers, or maybe Bhimsen Thapa wanted to show his power to the people of Nepal. So that's just an assumption, but the real reason, no one knows. So having done true or false, let's move on to answering the questions. Okay, so let's say number C. Read the passages again and answer these questions. Now let's look at the first question. Where is Bhimsen? Where is Stamba? Remember, in my last class I had mentioned you that sadly we don't have this monument anymore in our country. Alright, so you can take this question also as where was Bhimsen Stamba, but let's follow the book for now. Alright, because the passage it's not got updated, you see. The passage talks about Bhimsen Stamba or Dharara still standing strong in Sundhara, Kathmandu. Alright, which sadly is not the fact today, but let's go with the passage. So we will follow simple present here. Okay. So remember, these questions are from the passage, and don't forget that we'll get its answer in the passage itself. So let's see where we can get the answer. So if you look at the first paragraph, you'll see that there's this passage which reads like, in the center of Kathmandu city lies a big open ground called Tudikil. On the southwest tip of Tudikil, there is a big tower. It is called Bhimsen Stamba or Bhimsen Tower, but it is known as Dharara most commonly. So see, that's where the answer is. So where is Bhimsen Stamba? So, and by the way, never begin your answer from it, okay? Because you will have to then figure it out first. What is this it standing for? Okay? So always make sure you begin it from with clarity. See, whenever you answer, make sure you give immense clarity to your answer, that it is answering the question. It has answered the question precisely. So where is Bhimsen Stamba? So let's begin. Bhimsen Stamba is on the southwest tip of Tudikil. Bhimsen Stamba is on the southwest tip of Tudikil, which is in the center of Kathmandu city, which is in the center of Kathmandu city. Now let's look at question number 2. Who asked Bhimsen Thapa to build the second tower? And like I have always been saying, whenever you answer, please make sure that you always refer to the verb. Alright, here it is in simple past. Okay, so the answer has to be answered in simple past. Alright, so let's figure out the answer again. Let's seek the answer. You have to look at the passage again. Queen Lalit Tripura Sundari asked Bhimsen Thapa to build the second tower. So alright, let's go to the first page. Queen Lalit Tripura Sundari asked Bhimsen Thapa to build the second tower. Now let's look at some of the questions here. Okay, some more questions here, and of course you'll have to answer these questions now. Number C. What happened with the two old towers of Kathmandu? What happened with the two old towers of Kathmandu? Number D. Who asked to rebuild the present tower? Who asked to rebuild the second tower? And number E. Why were the towers built? Share your opinion. Why were the towers built? Share your opinion. So here are these 3 questions, which of course you can either do it in the classwork right now, taking some time, maybe you can allow yourself up to 10 minutes time, or you can do this also as a homework. Okay, so moving forward, we have it's ways with words. So it says read the passages and find the words that give closest meanings to the following. Now remember, we did talk about synonyms and antonyms. So this is one of the synonyms we're talking about here. Alright, now just to remind you the meaning of synonyms. Alright, so what is synonyms then? A word whose meaning is the same as that of another word. As an example, it's more like that if the word is happy, its synonym could mean glad, or it could also mean joy or delighted. Now let's look at the questions which are in the book. Now let's look at the questions that we have now. Okay, number A, it says be positioned at a center, place or location. So be positioned at a certain place or location. So if you read the passage, you'll clearly find the word which is describing this phrase. And can you guess the word? So maybe you can discuss with your friends. Maybe you can take a couple of time for that. And the answer is center. You might want to take help from the dictionary here. Now let's look at number B. Sight, you see around you. So what do you think is the answer here? Sight you see around you. Again, remember, you'll find the answer right in the passage. You don't have to go anywhere else to get the answer. And the answer to this particular number is view. Okay? So let's move further. Number C, I'm sure you'll all get this. Shaking of the earth. Shaking of the earth. So what do you think is the answer to this? Okay? Now let's look at number D. Let somebody see your idea or capacity. Let somebody see your idea or capacity. And the answer to this is you'll have to figure it out from the passage. Okay, so you can figure out the answer from the passage. Again, this is something which you can do it as a homework. Let's move forward. Now, again, we have one more exercise where we'll have to figure out the antonyms. Yes, you heard that correctly. Do you know what is antonyms, by the way? Now, the dictionary meaning, antonym means just the opposite, alright? So the dictionary meaning of antonym would be a word which has the opposite meaning of another word. A word which has the opposite meaning of another word. So that's antonym. So as an example, if the word is happy, what do you think is just the opposite of happy? I'm sure you all can get this. It's sad. Alright, if the word is ugly, let's say for instance, so what do you think is just the opposite of ugly? It's beautiful, isn't it? Beautiful. So these are all antonyms. Okay, so let's move further. Number B. Find opposites of the following words. Use your, remember I keep focusing on dictionary, use your dictionary. Write one word for each set of words. Write one word for each set of words. So number A, the words given are intelligent. So what do you think is just the opposite of intelligent? Yes, you can look at the dictionary. You can take a time. Maybe, you know what, this video can be paused for some time and let the answer come out from the students. And then let's check the answers. Because there could be multiple answers to this, by the way. There could be multiple because the question has asked just one word. We're focusing just in one word. Alright, we're providing one word to each of these questions, or to each of these words. We're providing one antonym. Okay, so to intelligent, it would be ignorant. Clever. What do you think is antonym of clever? Dull. How about the antonym of bright? Dim. The antonym of smart. So it could very well be dumb. So how about antonym of witty? So it can be very well naive. How about the antonym of sharp? It can very well be blunt. So see, this is how we figure out the antonym and the synonym. So let's move forward. Now these you can do as a homework again. Number B, the words are beautiful, attractive, handsome, good looking, smart, and pretty. So if you look at these combination of words here, they are all synonyms, aren't they? But remember, we'll have to provide one antonym to each of these words. To each of these words, we'll have to provide one antonym, or just the opposite, alright? Please make best use of your dictionary to find the answer. Let's go for number 6. Difficult, hard, complicated, tough, strong, complex. Now these words are put in such a manner that all these words, if you look at it, they all are but synonyms. Say difficult, hard, complicated, tough, strong, complex. They all just mean the same. But remember, once again, our task here is to provide an antonym to each of these words. Okay? And finally, number D, ask, inquire, query, request, and question. So you can very well again provide an antonym to all these words. This you can again do it as a homework. Okay, so one more homework which you should be doing. So what you can do for this particular homework is, I write a question here. Write a paragraph to describe your room. Mention length, breadth, height, etc. of your room in your paragraph. Write a paragraph to describe your room, mention length, breadth, height, etc. of your room in your paragraph. So you can very well begin like, well, you can initially, as a topic sentence, you can write, my room is very beautiful. To me, my room is the world's best place. And then you talk about the length, breadth, height, etc. Or you can describe whatever you have in your room. Alright? So this you can do it as a homework. So if you have any queries, feel free to email us at learning@deerwalk.edu.np. Thank you very much.